Welcome. This morning we're going to talk about rewiring. Re meaning to do again, wiring meaning the ideas that are in our brain for whatever direction is on our heart today. So wiring again means that we are always at choice as to the direction that our life is going. And what we are playing out in this moment has everything to do with the way we have wired our brain according to our thinking thus far. The interesting part is that we are always at choice to make a change with that. And so we talk a lot in Science of Mind about our thinking, our thoughts, because our belief systems are driving our lives today. They're driving the belief systems that we hold in our subconscious mind are what we are attracting into our life today. And so for most of us, we experience many ideas of good, and that's because we expect that good to come into our life. And at the same time, sometimes we have times of challenge in our lives. And if we look closely at our belief systems, we can often rewire the way we think. We can trace back to a time, a situation in which we took on a belief system that no longer serves our highest good, and we are ready to say toodaloo, goodbye, be done with you, away with you, and move on in a new direction. And yet at the same time, what is that direction? We have to replace that path, that neural path within our own brain with a new thought, a positive thought, and a thought that will attract unto its likeness. At the same time, we cannot just sit around and think about it. We have to walk the walk. We have to take the action that is calling us forth. And so we are looking at the idea of how we can do that. How can we rewire?
Well, in one way or another, all of us in the last year have had done some serious rewiring, haven't we? In terms of how we see life and how we see ourselves showing up in life. And as we enter into this new process of potential, possible post-pandemic planning, we, hey, I like the alliteration there. We are looking at the possibility of rewiring yet again, and coming into, some people say, the new normal. Maybe going back to the old normal. Is the old normal what we really want to do? Is that really functional anymore? Or is life really just completely made a quantum shift into some whole new life expectancy and life ideas? And so where do we go from here? It looks like there's some light at the end of the tunnel, and it looks like we're moving into that post-pandemic life period. Well, now we have to put on something besides sweatpants and move out into the real world, and maybe we need to reboot, and maybe shut off everything that we have rewired for the last year or so, and start anew, start fresh, restart. Maybe we need to retool or redesign the way we've been living for the last year, and to be able to get back into a more active world in which we actually head out of our houses and into our social activities and so on. We need to plan ahead, and all these things are not based on what has gone on in the past, but what is happening in the world around us, what is new and different, and in terms of possibilities, and our place in that. So we need to renew, and maybe we need to start from scratch, because we realize that some of the things that we did in the past, either we don't really want to go back there, or we find that it's not really relevant anymore. And so we start with a clean plate. We have a great opportunity to do things differently and newly, to express ourselves uniquely in a more fully expressive way, and that we hadn't thought of before all of this. We need to realign or refocus, and we need to use conscious energy to direct and channel our lives into the experiences that we wish to experience. And maybe just a matter of simply just resuming where we were before, but moving in a more positive direction. You know, we're always constantly evolving, we're always constantly growing, we're always constantly moving in a new positive direction and experiencing new things, and that's how we learn about life. And so moving in a positive direction is very valuable. Ralph Waldo Emerson says, "Do not go where the path may lead. Go instead where there is no path and leave a trail." Maybe that's where we need to be thinking about going. Ralph Waldo Emerson also said, "We are all inventors, each sailing out on a voyage of discovery." I like that, a voyage of discovery. Guided each by a private chart of which there is no duplicate. The world is all gates, all opportunities. Wow, isn't that great? We're moving into a new opportunity to live in a different way.
Yes, you reminded me of several different quotes that I read recently. I don't remember who they were from. One is a short story about unplugging, and Rabbit is frustrated and he says, "I just can't do this." And Bear says, "Yes, you can. You just need to unplug." And Rabbit says, "I don't plug into anything." And Bear says, "You do. You plug into your mind all the time." And so that's sort of what you were talking about with the rebooting is unplugging from that which is no longer working and stepping into a new idea of who you are and how you show up. We have a friend who was Centers for Spiritual Living's director and spiritual leader for many, many years. And he recently wrote an article about rewiring for himself. And he was talking about coming into his retirement and the changes that he could see and how he knew he would have to utilize his own thinking in order to create the life that he desired, because it was going to be so different from the travel 24/7 that he was used to. And in the article, he talks about how just as he retired, the whole country shut down. He lives in Canada, and they shut down before the United States, and then the United States, and then Europe and Mexico, and everything began to shut down. And so he talked about how he did not talk about how he changed his thinking. But you know he had to change his thinking, because what he talked about were the action steps that he took. He began painting, he grew a garden, he started biking, he went golfing and met new friends. And so I thought, of course, about how much I respect and admire him and the way he lives his life and his wife. But I also thought about the importance of remembering that you just don't sit there and think about it. You have to literally rewire the direction, and once you get clear with the path you're headed, you must take the action to make it possible.
Yeah, life is a mental process, and we can stay in the ditch or we can step up onto the road and carry on. We're at choice to do so, and it's all a matter of how we think about it and where we plan to, and where our attention is set, where we plan to go.
Yes. And you know, I also heard something else recently. It was about taking one step. So never, as you look out and about in your life, do you see one footprint in the sand. You see many, many paths that have been created by people just like you and me, who are on a mission of living this life and living it fully. So as you begin to take a look at what in your life you might like to rewire, what areas are not working and you're looking for a shift, remember to put the action, walk the path that is yours to walk.